Coming up on Valley News Live at 10, how to prepare for blackouts, with at least one city saying we should expect more.
Will city leaders in Fargo allow the mask mandate to expire?
Plus, our national investigative team looks at paternity test mistakes and the lack of regulation when it comes to testing. Valley News Live at 10 starts right now.
This is Valley News Live at 10.
The city of Fargo's mask mandate is set to expire this Thursday. Tomorrow, city leaders are having a special meeting to discuss whether the mandate will stay or go.
As Valley News Team's Bailey Hurley found out, there are some who say the mandate is extended, while others say it's time to be done with.
It shouldn't be on a private business to determine community-wide health and safety during a pandemic.
Unglued owner Ashley Morkin says it's been night and day since Fargo put a mask mandate in place.
It made our life feel a lot safer and easier, even though we always had that policy. Also saw an increase in customer traffic when it started. People blatantly had said they were coming out more because there was a mandate in town and they felt more comfortable to shop.
She says since the mandate went into effect in mid-October, unsettling shopper situations have gone from a daily occurrence to hardly at all.
We've been called communists. We've been spit on. It's been like an interesting time where I don't want to put our crew's safety at risk or our shoppers' safety either.
And while many other downtown businesses and those in the community say they couldn't agree more with Morkin, several others like Cassie Wynn say they're hoping for the opposite outcome.
I want it to end. I mean, we've been wearing them for too long now. I mean, I have asthma, so it's kind of hard for me to wear them. I can barely breathe.
Wynn says she would still respect a store's policy if they required masks, but says giving people the option to choose is most important.
Just would like to go into stores and feel free with our freedom not to have to wear these masks no more.
Morkin says if the mandate does expire, Unglued's mask policy will stay, but says if the mandate is extended, it should have another set end date as science continues to evolve and vaccines continue to roll out. In Fargo, Bailey Hurley, Valley News Live.
Ashley Morkin added pre-pandemic she only asked 2 customers to leave. Since May, it's happened at least 6 times, with most of them not following mask rules.
Prepare for more blackouts if you live in Moorhead. Moorhead Public Service says there's potential for blackouts tomorrow morning between 6 and 10 a.m. Nearly 10,000 people in Moorhead had their power shut off this morning with little to no warning. So what should you do if that happens? Valley News Team Stacy Van Dyke has a few suggestions. Stacy?
Andrea, for most of us, staying warm is concern number 1, right? Here are a couple ideas. Close all doors to bedrooms and bathrooms. If you have an interior room, have everyone congregate there. Get out extra blankets and put on extra layers of clothes. To protect your pipes, turn a slow drip on your faucets and open up your cupboard doors. That way, whatever heat there is will help keep pipes from freezing. Keep your freezer and refrigerator closed. Have some food on hand that doesn't need to be refrigerated. If the cold is extreme, go to a community location with power and check on your neighbors if you can. Andrea?
All right, thanks, Stacy. MPS is part of the Southwest Power Pool, which says the blackouts are needed to conserve energy. Cass County Electric Cooperative, Minn Kota Power Cooperative, and Xcel Energy in North Dakota are part of a different grid and tell us they likely will not be impacted by blackouts.
An assistant track and cross-country coach for Oak Grove Lutheran School has been charged with sex crimes against children. Authorities say the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children received a tip from Twitter in mid-January after 2 pictures were unloaded on its servers by the user at Youthful Spirit 4. 33-year-old Daniel Stoa admitted that's his account. Investigators searched Stoa's home and arrested him on Friday. The president of Oak Grove Lutheran School says that told us that Stoa is no longer employed by the school and is barred from the premises. He also says so far the investigation doesn't indicate any connection to the school or its students.
The Bemidji Police Department wants your help in finding a missing teenage girl. Authorities say 13-year-old Kaya Hawk was last seen at the Walmart in town on Saturday, and police say it appears she left the area voluntarily. She is described as about 5'3", 115 pounds, with brown eyes and brown hair. She was last seen wearing a red hooded sweatshirt and black Nike shoes. If you see her, go ahead and call police at the number on your screen.
North Dakota's decisively shot down a bill that would have raised the state's minimum wage for the first time in more than 10 years. The bill would have brought the minimum wage from $7.25 an hour to $9 an hour by August, and then progressively go up $15 an hour by 2027.
I think that our workers in our state are worth more than living at poverty. A family of 4 needs to earn $25,000. They're not going to do that on a minimum wage.
Instead, House members said that the free markets are working and pointed to many larger companies raising their own starting wages.
A proposal to ensure a quality public education as a constitutional right is resurfacing at the Minnesota State Capitol. It's an effort that supporters say has a new level of urgency with the pandemic widening the state's achievement gap. But not everyone is on board with the idea. All children have a fundamental right to a quality public education would be enshrined in the state constitution if a proposed amendment gets approval from Minnesota voters. The amendment has the backing of Republicans and Democrats who say this is the avenue to close the state's achievement gap.
This forces the legislature to deal with a problem that they've talked about and admired for many, many years.
If the legislature approves the proposal, it would go on the ballot in 2022. Minnesota lawmakers want to create an independent board to regulate prescription drug prices. It follows a bipartisan effort from last year when there was a push to make insulin more affordable. Their idea went before a Minnesota House committee today. The legislation would establish an independent board and an advisory council that would review the costs of new brand name prescription drugs.
COVID-19 vaccinations are nearly complete in Minnesota long-term care facilities. It's having an immediate impact in more ways than one. The numbers show the devastating toll the pandemic has had on people living in long-term care. 63% of Minnesota's deaths happened in those settings. In early December, congregate care saw 230 deaths a week. As vaccinations rolled out, the number of deaths has dropped to 15. The drop in deaths and increase in vaccinations are changing the mood at facilities.
Residents were elated on the day that we had our first vaccine. You could see it in their eyes.
We feel a little more raring to go. We're ready when the door opens.
Right now, the only people getting vaccines in Minnesota are healthcare workers, those 65 plus, long-term workers and residents, and some teachers. Demand still far exceeds supply. The state has not yet given us a definitive date for when the general public can start getting the shot. To stay on top of the latest COVID vaccine news, check out our VNL vaccine tracker. Just open your phone camera, point it to the QR code on your screen, and then tap the link that pops up. We also have the link on your homepage.
Quest Diagnostics is joining forces with the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention to find new COVID-19 variants. The company says it's been sequencing 2,000 tests weekly, which is twice the number of tests since its efforts began in January. The CDC director says the more sequencing that gets done, the more officials will know how many variants are spreading across the nation. The CDC also is working with other commercial diagnostic labs across the nation to help investigate even more test samples.
New research shows severe cases of COVID-19 may be linked to eye damage. According to a study, 7% of those tested had at least one irregularity at the back of their eyes. Researchers say that could lead to bleeding with the eyes or nerve fiber disruption. The findings are based on 129 people who had severe cases of COVID-19 from March to May of last year. Those involved with the data say more research needs to be done, but suggest doctors may want to consider screening severe COVID-19 patients for ocular issues. Still ahead tonight, lab mix-ups and test mistakes affect people all around the country. Our investigative team looks at the lack of regulation when it comes to testing.
But first, Hutch has a look at the warm-up that's headed our way.